want to get rid of that noise. Alright. So how did we do it last time? We did it on the box. Let's tap the power button. What does that button do? I think that does it. Alright, I think that's it. Alright, we're gonna give that a try. See how that works. See if that audio is a little bit better, but I'm still just gonna kind of run with it. I do have a bike. I am a biker, but it ain't that kind of party. This is part of my derecreationalization of motorcycles. I'm not, and I mean this with my whole chest, I'm not doing this to impress anybody else. Not even a little bit. I'm doing this because this is the cheapest way to to build a house. I've always been into how money works, and this is one of the ways that money works. If your cash flow, you got more cash flow out than you have cash flow in, then expect to be broke. You feel me? But I knew I was gonna be broke, so I just made it so I was less broke, and I bought the cheapest possible option for transportation. I still gotta go places, but I still gotta go to Home Depot, look for a piece of sheet steel, but I wanted to do it in the cheapest possible way. And this thing in the United States where we're taught that we could have it all, that you could have a 12,000 pound pickup truck, a Chrysler 300, a Chrysler Charger, a Challenger, an M-Class BMW, and you can have all this stuff. You can have the Bagger Harley Davidson, you could have the Ultra, the fifth wheel motorhome, you can have the truck that's just for pulling that, the jet skis. We're taught that we could have all of that. I learned early on, Thomas Armour taught me early on that that's not how money works. Big shout out to Pop, for real, because he taught me the vast majority of what I know about money. The guy who ran Johnny's, his name wasn't Johnny. Not Johnny's, Mike's. The guy who ran Mike's, Johnny's was a different store. The guy who ran Mike's Corner Store and the guy and Thomas Armour taught me everything I know about money. Guy's a millionaire, yet he's outside of his store sweeping up pennies off the ground. Those are the people that taught me about money. So the first thing I did when I realized I was going to be going into debt more so than normal, I got rid of everything, and I got a motorcycle. So this isn't a thing where, oh well, I just want to be cool and I want to impress people with how cool and how fast my motorcycle is. Nah, it ain't that. It ain't that type of party. I got this because it's the cheapest way to do it. Maybe you didn't hear me. It's the cheapest way to get the job done. For me to build a house, which is 5 years. And if you can't commit to something for 5 years, then, what are you doing, really? If you haven't committed to something for 5 years and it fails, you didn't commit to jack. You feel me? I'm going to commit to this until the job is done, until that bus is finished. So this isn't about looking cool. This isn't about being a rebel. This isn't about that corny ass movie Wild Hogs, which, by the way, I finally saw Wild Hogs, and that movie is terrible. But here's the thing about Wild Hogs. The movie is terrible because they played it as a comedy. That movie should have been a drama with some humor in it. You know how some dramas have a little bit of humor in them to kind of lighten the mood a little bit? That would have been a perfect drama movie. You know, because it had some dramatic themes. You know, my man was broke. You know, my man had lost everything, and they played it like a comedy because as men we're not supposed to, you know, explore any emotions and shit. So yeah, Wild Hogs could have been a great movie, and I'm sure there's somebody out there, some screenwriter, director, producer who knew that. But still, because the studio's holding the money, they ran it as a comedy. And it blew. John Travolta's an amazing actor. William H. Macy, Martin Lawrence, they were all great. Everybody in that is a great actor. Peter Fonda was in it. There's a great actors. There's a list of great actors. There's some of the greatest actors in the business. But they ran it as a comedy. They could have ran it as anything but a comedy. So yeah, Wild Hogs, whatever. But I'm not doing this. This is not a look cool sort of thing. And that's why I painted the bike the way I did. I hand painted the bike, and you could tell. And like back home, like when you do a paint job or something like this, you get clowned on. You know, nobody takes you seriously, and that's why I did it. But I forget I'm in a different part of the country now, and now it just draws more attention to the motor. It entirely backfired, like entirely, completely backfired. Now it draws more attention to the motorcycle. But I'm in a different culture, so it's at a different time. It's 20 years later. It ain't New York no more. So, you know. But it depends on what you want. If you're expecting the president to write you a $1.8 billion check that's going to make your 4-mile-a-gallon SUV reasonable, then yeah, then wait for that check. Keep waiting. I ain't waiting for nobody. We had a black president. He didn't do jack for us. We are in the same, if not worse, predicament now than we were 4 years ago, 8 years ago, 10 years ago. There ain't nothing changed. We still getting shot down in the streets. So, you know, whatever's clever, Trevor. Black president, white president, don't make no difference whatsoever. This thing's straight. Alright, I don't think that's straight. So, you know, this idea that, you know, the president's gonna make your life better, man, later for all that. I know that you are responsible for your success. And if you're not willing to make any sacrifices for your success, then enjoy failure. Enjoy not winning. Because that's what that's about. Boy, I wish you'd be on the right side of the line. And I don't see any downsides to this decision, in all honesty. Again, I've been on two wheels my entire life. I started out in New York and as a bike messenger, and you know, I'm used to two wheels, but I'm not used to building a house. I'm not used to living out in the middle of the desert. I'm not used to a lot of stuff. If you're not willing to dedicate to the bit, then you're just going to be where you are. And ain't nothing wrong with that either. If you're happy where you are, stay there. But if you want some change, you can do two things. You can wait for the president to mail you a check for $1.8 billion, or you can do what you got to do. I had a company in funeral transport service in Jersey that did fairly well. Did fairly well during the Bush administration, the first one, the second one, and the Clinton administration. So the president had nothing to do with my success or failure. It was therefore by the grace of God that I was able to pay my bills, $3,000 a month rent. So, you know, it's not about that. And I get that question all day long. All day long. Tilt. FPV. Come over a little bit. There you go. I get that question all day long. Cool motorcycle, dude. And, you know, I try to be polite. You know, hey, good morning. And then, and like, the first thing I do when someone says, oh, cool motorcycle, how fast does it go? First thing, it's not that kind of bike. It's not that kind of bike. I work commercially. I'm a commercial portrait photographer, and I work for DoorDash, and this is what this bike is for. It's not a top speed YouTube daredevil sort of thing, and I apologize. I'm sorry to destroy your fantasy and everything, you know, but I'm not that kind of rider. I'm an everyday rider. So, yeah, that's the first thing I say to people like that. You know, I'm happy, you know, you're into motorcycles. I hope you make it through the temp rider phase and you get to ride all your life like I do. But it's not that kind of party. I'm not. I have that conversation anywhere from 8 to 11 times a day. Like literally all day long, because I work commercially, so I'm in and out of restaurants. I'm by people's houses and stuff, and it's all day. It's all day that I have this conversation, because here in this country we believe that a motorcycle is a recreational flex. It's something that you do to impress other people, and that's just not the case around the world. But then again, if you think about it, who wants you to be in a car all day long? Car manufacturers. Who loses out if we're all riding 50-mile-a-gallon plus vehicles? The oil companies. So of course they don't want you on. Of course they don't want you on a motorcycle. Of course they want you thinking it's a recreational flex. Of course they do. So, you know, either fall for it or fall away from it. Those are your choices. Ooh, in the wrong gear. What gear am I in? What gear was I in that corner? But it's up to you. Like, for real, it's up to you. And this is just part of a larger system for me. I'm hoping ultimately, because it's too late for me, I'm hoping ultimately that my kids see it and they make the decision to get out of capitalism before they pay $800,000 in rent, which is totally feasible, that you could pay $800,000 in rent in your lifetime. Which is totally feasible. That is an attainable goal that you can give someone else all your money. So I hope that they catch on to it. So that's part of a larger system. And yeah, back over here. Up some. So yeah, it's part of a larger system that I hope my kids catch on to, and it also removes me from the system as well. I haven't paid rent since 2019. So there's a landlord somewhere. That has a tiny apartment with roaches and bed bugs, that's kind of wondering where I am, where I've been for the last 6 or 7 years. Where am I going? Oh yeah, Home Depot. And I'm happy about that. I'm happy that he's not going to get my money. So let's just do the math. Let's just say it's $1,000 a month from 2019 to today, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26. Dang. That's 7 years. 7 years of no rent. 7 years. That's a lot of money. That's a ton of money for someone to lose out on. And I put it up here on the screen because I can't do math while I'm riding. Ooh, keep playing with them trains, baby. New Mexico, I'm here at the Los Lunas railroad tracks. And you'll see it once I go over. And people here, like in the beginning when they first got a train, everybody kept getting killed because they play too close with these trains, and they cross the line, they get up close to the gates. And I grew up in New York and New Jersey riding the trains, and I grew up in New York and New Jersey riding the trains, and I know better. I just know better. Them Amtrak trains, when them Amtrak trains hit something, it's over, because they don't play. They're doing 80 to 120 miles an hour. So the Amtrak trains want your ass. So I grew up knowing not to play with the trains. But here in New Mexico, they don't know. They just got this train 15 years ago, and they're still getting killed by it. I grew up on the trains in New York, New Jersey, and never been in a train accident. I moved to New Mexico. They get their first commuter train, and I've been on 3 trains that hit people. I got off of one train that hit a guy and helped. I got evacuated off of one train that hit somebody, and they gave us all rides home or where we was going. So it's frequent here. It's frequent, and you're really likely, you're super likely to see some of these New Mexico people play with these trains. It's super likely. And it's sad, but I think it's going to be another 10 years before they catch on. You don't play with these trains, they can't stop. There are enormous death boxes, and they can't stop. Once they get going, that's it. And like once they hit you, once the train hits you, it's gonna go for a while. Like a while. Like, you know, people who self-terminate, when I was doing autopsies, people who self-terminate by jumping in front of a train, you know, the old bit always says, oh, he felt no pain. Nah, it's not how trains work. All them rocks down there at the bed, at the base of the train, like where the tracks are, all that, they drag you across all that. So you're more than alive. There's dirt in your trachea. Like when I was doing autopsies, there's dirt in your trachea, so you're breathing while all this is happening over the next 100, 200 yards, depending on how fast the train's going. So it's essentially breaking you up into smaller pieces as it goes. So don't play with these trains, man. Do not play with these trains. There's way better ways to get the job done. I could write a book on it. There's way better ways to get the job done than jumping in front of a train. I could write a whole ass book on it. But I'm here at Home Depot. I gotta get a piece of plate steel because this box back here, it moves way too much. And I gotta get that to stop moving so much because people's drinks are spilling. And I gotta find a way to stop people's drinks from spilling. But this is the motovlog for people who don't ride motorcycles.